Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Get the Scoop with Smirks. I'm Elisa Lewis, and my co host is Donny Edson. Today, we're thrilled to be joined by a special guest, Tom Merrow from Onset Worldwide, an importer and processor of a range of seeds and ingredients located in New Jersey. In this episode, we're diving into our incredible journey from a chance meeting to a strong collaboration with Tom and his team. We're eager to highlight Onset Worldwide's business and capabilities, as well as our relationship with Onset and the value-added products Onset has provided to Smirks over the years.
As the new Chia crop is beginning to arrive, we thought it would be timely to discuss our experiences with Chia and the trends we are seeing. So let's kick things off. Tom, how's it going?
It's going amazing, guys. I'm grateful to be here and grateful to be in a growing industry with a lot of friends we get to see on a daily basis.
Very awesome. Well, why don't we just start off with hearing your story? I mean, Tom, could you tell us a little bit about Onset Worldwide and how you got started in the business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, prior to starting Onset Worldwide, I was working as a freight forwarder in Boston. I was helping importers and exporters secure containers, clear customs, deliver their products. I was really fascinated by the entire import-export industry. And while I was doing that, I saw the opportunity to help companies source product in other countries, and then also domestic manufacturers to help them export outside the U.S. So I started Onset Worldwide as a global sourcing company in 2010. Onset means a new beginning, which was pretty fitting for the new venture. We weren't exactly sure what products we were going to sell. We just knew we were going to help people find products or export products from the U.S. We worked from everything from fabrics to food ingredients. A year into the business, I met my future wife, Sarah. She was working in New Jersey at the time, and I offered her to come join Onset in exchange for a salary. She could own a percentage of the company, and in that time, the company wasn't worth anything, so I guess she did like me. And she saw the potential, kind of take the risk. She moved up to Boston, and off we went. There's pretty much, we were two kids in an apartment, shipping product around the world. Yeah, Sarah's amazing. She's organized. She's helped develop our entire back end of our business, from finances to quality control, which she still heads up now 13 years later. The two of us ran the business for about 6 years while living off of pasta and water. We dabbled in retail. We had a shoe concept that we developed in Asia and brought over. Till one day, one of our suppliers, one of my friends, said, "Hey, I got 6 pallets of chia seeds in my warehouse. Can you help me sell it?" So I quickly Googled what a chia seed was. I learned the market, and we kind of never looked back from there. In 2016, we moved from Boston down to Frenchtown, New Jersey. That's about as close as we could get to the port of New York, because the pricing of real estate was so high. Shortly after moving from Boston to New Jersey, we found out Sarah was pregnant with our first daughter, Molly, and soon to be our second daughter, Lila, shortly after. That kind of put the pressure on, really kicked us into high gear. We started buying machinery, adding values to the seeds that we would import, and develop some technology to cold mill oil seeds. And we kind of never looked back from there. And now we have 4 production lines, and we're working on building a new facility here in New Jersey to increase capacity and service this growing market.
Tom, I think some of the things I've enjoyed over the years in working with you is, as you kind of mentioned, innovation, doing more value-added products and services to kind of stay ahead of trends or help even develop trends. I really think you're always a year or two ahead of where things are, and you're always planned for when something happens. So can you tell us a little bit some of these that you do inside the factory now?
Yeah, definitely. It does seem like that's a good point, Donnie, where I would say what makes Onset unique is we really narrowed our focus. So we used to have, over 100 different SKUs. we've narrowed a lot of that down to focus on products that fall in our categories as allergen-free, seeds, grains, and flowers. So we have 4 production lines. We have a production line to cold mill oil seeds. So we use our nitro mill technology to mill sunflower, pumpkin, watermelon, and chia seeds. So we'll make a nice full fat flour, a bit coarse, but has all those omega values inside. Or we have a cold press line where we'll make plant-based proteins out of those same seeds. Sunflower protein, watermelon protein, pumpkin protein. Or we just increase the purity of our seeds. So we have a cleaning line where we'll take chia seeds that are maybe 99.9% purity, increase that to 99.99% purity. We do that not only for our own products, but for our fellow importers that may not have a facility on the East Coast. So say they import some chia seeds and there's maybe some stick stems or unwanted foreign material in there. They'll send it to us and we'll process that, clean that, pack it into brand new totes or bags, private label, and off it goes. We also have a repack line so we can change bag sizes from super sacks to 50-pound bags, which Donny and I have done a lot of projects on. So always want to, give the customer what they want. So we're here whenever he needs us.
Yeah, it's awesome, Tom. And I mean, our relationship's really been going on for about 10 years now. Back in the day, I think we were introduced by a mutual acquaintance and we started to do some bulk ingredient trading. We were both very young, new people in the industry at that time too, 10 years ago. But I think some of the fun for me's been, playing golf at different trade shows, which we still try to do. The Smirks golf tournament, which we don't get to do anymore because we're not welcome back at the course. And of course, I think too, watching each other become dads and start families while still working on our business together. So truly, we do value the relationship between our companies, but also the friendship and memories we've had along the way. So Tom, do you remember what it was like in the early days when we first met?
Oh, absolutely. I remember I was walking down a trade show. I saw your booth and I saw your smiling face. I was like, so this is Donny Edson. So I remember I walked up and not only did we instantly connect business-wise, but our personalities really matched up. And it's been really nice. It's kind of like just talking to a friend. And hey, Donny, what do you see with the chia market these days? Or hey, we're short on this product, we're long on this. Think we can move something together. So I remember just meeting at that trade show and all the golf tournaments we've played in. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and it's grown a lot, as you mentioned, since our first trade show. Of doing a lot of mutual business together. But from Smirk's standpoint, as being a customer for Onset, I think some of the things that have been invaluable for us is helping us to overcome challenges. Obviously, when you import something, you don't ever want there to be a problem. The processor doesn't want there to be a problem. But when you're handling food ingredients, and especially organic food ingredients, it's inevitable that there might be a problem sometimes, whether something starts to move inside the container along the way, or you find a foreign material, or you want to get your product, value added in another way. So whenever Smirks has needed products such as chia to be recleaned to a certain specification, you've always helped us out. We've called on Onset for sunflower seeds to be milled as well. I think that, again, was one of the cool innovative products you really got ahead of, was doing the milled sunflower seed. And I think anybody in the industry is probably seeing more sunflower seed flour out in the industry now, being used in baking applications and different applications. But also, I think that the sunflower protein that you're working on is also one that's getting ready to take off. Just starting to see a little bit more at some of the trade shows. So I think that's really cool. Some other projects we've done in the past is we've shipped in our chia and our flax. You've milled it for us. You've blended it for customers that wanted a retail package of a product that was a milled flax and chia together. So really, I think, the beauty lies in our ability to complement each other's strengths. Tom, what would you say about the partnership between Smirks and Onset?
Yeah, the industry is really small. When you start to get to know all the players, not everybody can have everything in stock when customers need it. Demand's fluctuating, increasing, decreasing. So that's where Smirks and Onset have done really well together. Donnie's traveled to way more countries than I have. If we're onboarding a new supplier at origin, chances are Donnie's been there. we can bounce everything off of each other from pricing to quality. So I call them, hey, have you heard of this chia supplier? How about this sunflower supply chain? And we can, say the pros and cons of each. If I'm running a large production run and we run out of product, give Donnie a call. His warehouse is just down the street from us. So it's been a great relationship both ways. And yeah, we've done so much business together. If he needs to get something in and we need to process it quickly, he's always on the top of the list. So it's been a great partnership back and forth, and we can kind of be straightforward, get right down to business.
That's fantastic, Tom. Hey, can we shift gears for just a moment? Sorry to kind of change things up, but we're really curious about your insights on plant-based proteins because this is, a really interesting topic for us, and we'd like to dive into the various uses and the ways your customers are incorporating these items into their product lines. Could you share with us some of the emerging trends that you've seen, as far as what you've noticed in the world of plant-based protein powders?
Yeah, I feel like I hear something new at every trade show, from the common items like an extruded snack to protein drinks, from soft-baked cookies to pharmaceutical applications. The common ones you hear every day. But the last trade show, a company requested a sample of watermelon protein as they started a new formula for a leather alternative belt. So there's always something new at every trade show. We can't have the R&D team to support every single application. So these companies that are innovative, they take the samples and they run with it. I think the possibilities really are endless.
Awesome. So since we promised we were going to really dive into chia today, with the new chia crop's first product just arriving in the US this month in September, it's really a great time to highlight our experience with chia. So first off, Donnie, what do you remember about our early days of Smirk selling chia?
It was a wild ride. I'll talk a lot about it more as we get through the podcast, but really it started back in 2010. We were selling small amounts of chia to the Mennonite communities. And in 2010, I was working a sunflower booth at the Seattle Trade Show in Paris when a guy walked up with a little bag of chia and he said, "Hey, you're a trading company, trade this." And I looked down at the sample bag and I told him, "This looks filthy." And he said, "Okay." And a year later, he came back to me at Anuga at the next trade show with a clean sample of chia, and we started buying chia from him from Argentina. So it really seems like our chia business just kept steadily growing over the years, and now it's one of our top-selling items at Smirks. Smirks does import organic and conventional, both raw and sterilized black chia. We bring in some white chia as well. As mentioned, Onset helps us out when we need milled or blended product too.
Tom, we're really interested to hear how Onset got its start in chia. I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but anything else you want to share about chia and kind of, how your chia business has evolved over time?
Yeah, I would say in the early days, you try to predict a market. You think this crop is going to be tight, so you start importing product early. I've come to know who I can trust in the industry and at origin and who I can't. You onboard a new supplier, they may say, yeah, the crop isn't looking good, pricing is about to rise, pressuring you into placing an order. So I feel like we have a really good network of people such as Smirks and people at Origin who can really have some feet on the ground and tell us where the market's going to be. I think with chia, it's not just do you want black, white, organic, or conventional. For us, we have over 20 SKUs of chia alone. When we're looking at the different colors, organic, conventional, but then you also look at RTE and raw. I would say a number of years ago, nobody even thought of applying a kill step or treating the seeds in a way to prevent any foodborne illnesses. But now these days, if it's going to go into a stand-up pouch, you need to make sure you have a validated proper kill step on that product to make sure the consumers are safe. It used to be we could just pack raw chia seeds in a pouch, but now customers and suppliers, customers, retail brands are a lot more educated, and retailers. So when we walk through a customer what their end use is going to be, we have to determine if it's going to be RTE or raw. So we have a number of validated kill step options we have at origin and in the US to meet all of those needs. A lot of our conversations start off with educating the customer about the differences and if they're going to be using a milled flour and the cookie or the product's not going to be baked, then you're going to need an RTE flour. So that's where our educating of our salespeople and our QA staff connecting with the customer is really important.
Yeah, thanks for bringing up RTE, Tom. I think it's certainly an important topic these days, and it's something that I think the industry is going to continue to talk more and more about, especially as the retailers are driving it. But it's really critical for our customers to know that if they're accepting a shipment of raw seeds, they need to understand the potential for food safety risks and ideally do their own processing, such as roasting or sterilization to reduce the pathogens. Or if that's not an option, we can provide a solution product that has either undergone a 5-log reduction of pathogens at origin or can be treated again here in the US. But I do think that's an important thing to remember is that you got first and foremost is the food safety side of it. Nobody wants to get anybody sick. And it's either raw or it's ready to eat. There's not really any gray area. If it's going to be cooked in a cookie like you're mentioning, then yes, it has the kill step going through it. But if it's not going to be cooked in a cookie, or if you're adding chia into a yogurt or something like that, then the chances are even higher for the pathogens to exist or develop there. So I just think it's really important that we continue to drive that message in the industry.
Really good stuff, guys. Thanks for reiterating about RTE versus raw. So if you look at chia over the years, how it's evolved and sales have grown, it's kind of mind-blowing. A report from Future Market Insights says that the U.S. sales of chia reached 54.7 million in 2022. What trends are you both seeing in the industry? Tom, why don't we start with you? I mean, we've talked a little bit, but any other insights? Any other little tidbits you might want to share about chia?
Yeah, well, since we're a specialty oilseed mill, customers are coming to us with these, unique applications. I want my cookie to be more moist. Okay, well, that can kind of start with the milling process. We offer several different types of milled flour, milled chia. We got cracked, which will give your cookie a little bit more moist taste. It won't suck up as much water. Or we have regular standard milled, which you'll probably see on stand-up pouches. And then we have fine milled. So for a finer application or a liquid application, we can mill chia seeds in many different formats to meet the customer's request. So it's really looking at 5 different types of SKUs of milled chia to see what works best in their application. So it's not just import whole seeds; it's what can we do with it once we get it here.
Yeah, and I'd add that besides selling chia into a straight pat, we're working with customers to incorporate chia into granolas. That's really popular. Snack or energy bars and add it into baby food that's been packaged into pouches, and that's where the milled stuff comes into play a lot. They'll add the milled chia into a fruit puree and put it into a squeeze pouch for kids to eat. Over the years, we've seen a lot of things, and some of the things that are still around, it's still being used in beverages, in smoothies, chips, with fruit purees. And the way it's used with fruit purees is you can add chia into a fruit puree. Chia will absorb somewhere around 12 times its weight in water. So it actually is a natural thickener. So if you just put chia seeds into a cup of water, it'll turn it into a jelly. If you put it into a fruit puree, it'll put it into a jelly. So it's an easy way for people at home to make their own jellies without using gelatin. It also goes into breads and pudding mixes. In addition, you find chia is added to a lot of pet foods and pet treats now. So people care as much about their animals as they do about themselves, and they feed them in the same manner. So we've seen chia being added into a lot of pet treats. And then also very popular with companies that make horse feeds. The health benefits make it great for horses, especially for high-end race horses or prize horses. People are feeding them a lot of chia seed too.
We have been importing chia for, well over a decade. So it feels like, Donnie, we must have witnessed pretty much any scenario you could imagine, from the weather patterns impacting crop conditions and different market fluctuations. So what are some of the key takeaways that inform your decision-making each year when it comes to purchasing chia? And how do you go about making market report recommendations to our customers?
Yeah, this is going to be a lengthy answer, Elisa. Um, Chia has so many things that can influence the price. There's been a lot of changes in where it is growing, who processes it, how it's processed over the years. Back in 2012, 2012 to 2014 are the years that really stick in my mind. Tom might remember as well too because he was just getting into it. But Chia was a complete roller coaster ride. It was a hot, trendy new item. There was so much demand for it, and it was so new that prices were well above $6 a pound. The main processors in South America required prepayment for the goods before they'd even have it harvested. This alone led to a lot of issues as people had paid for the product, but then maybe it wasn't harvested or it wasn't ready to ship, and then their money was just stuck in South America with a Chia processor, and they maybe didn't get Chia or maybe they didn't get their money. So it was a really risky item in the beginning. In the early years, a lot of Chia was coming from all over South America and Mexico. And just like any other item, whatever it is, what goes up must come down, and that's what happened with Chia. Everyone in South America wanted it on the action. They all wanted to make some money, so they all planted Chia. And several new plants came online as well, and suddenly there was far more Chia than there was demand. And prices dropped from above $6 to some cases, I remember it being as low as 70 cents a pound. I remember buying Chia for as low as 50 cents a pound from Argentina. So the losses for the farmers and processors was enormous, and several people got out of the business. So, as it always happens, this of course led to a shortage again, and the prices went way up again. And the cycle still continues to this day. Either feast or famine, and that's generally what happens in the Chia market. However, since then, several things have changed now versus 10 years ago. First is that Chia has been widely accepted and consumed by a lot of people, not only in the USA, but also in Asia. China has really developed an appetite for Chia as well, so processors in South America and Mexico have had a lot more places to market their product. Consumption in North America remains high as well, and continue to see growth in this category. Today, the main growing regions are still in South America, with Paraguay being the biggest grower. There's still some production in Argentina, but it's dropped a lot. You'll see Chia from Bolivia, which is a big player, and from Peru and Chile. Mexico still produces Chia as well, but a lot of their products being exported to China. One addition to the Chia world has been Uganda. However, the quality has not always been the best from this region. So Chia harvest in South America kicks off in May and June and goes through September. By May, we generally have a good idea how much was planted, but we're always watching to see what happens with the frost. 2 years ago, there was a ton of Chia, and the frost wiped out over half the crop, and prices shot straight up, and many shippers called force majeure and defaulted on their contracts. This is not uncommon in South America. It seems to happen every 3 to 5 years. One suggestion for purchasing Chia is to do it in 2 cycles. The first cycle is to purchase in November and December for your coverage through June or July. This ensures you have product as the new crop comes out. The second coverage should take place in June and July as harvest is happening and we see what the risk of the frost is. A lot of buyers will purchase in June for delivery in October through the next June. So overall, Chia is a wild card almost every year, and prices can swing as much as $1 per pound depending on what Mother Nature offers. One other thing that we watch, especially out of Paraguay, is there's a red soil in Paraguay that'll set off a metal detector. It's actually magnetic. So you want to make sure that you're working with processors in Paraguay, especially if you're buying it from Paraguay, that have really good systems in place to remove that on a gravity table, but then also with a lot of rare earth magnets to be able to pull it out as well, because it's not uncommon to see that come out of there. So
Yeah, we see that a lot when we're processing, Donnie. Sometimes we'll have to clean our magnets 1 or 2 times per run, and then when we certain lots, we'll have to do it after every single pallet. So that can really build up, and maintaining and having a good on-staff QA team is really important.
yeah.
Tom, anything else you want to weigh in on as far as what you've learned over the years with the Chia crop and how to navigate it?
Yeah, I mean, since we do sell Chia and then we also toll process for other importers, we see if it's a good Chia market, we're selling whole seed, we're selling flour. If the Chia market isn't as strong, we're cleaning a lot of Chia. So we'll see Chia coming from India, Uganda, new producers in South America, people trying to make a little bit more margin, which really ends up giving us more toll processing business. From our standpoint, since we are, an importer, we sell whole seed, we sell flour, but also we do toll processing. So if we're having a great Chia crop, we're seeing that we're able to sell product, move containers very quickly, minimal processing. But if we get a bad harvest, you have to start sourcing from other countries, maybe India, Uganda, new processors in South America. We'll work together with importers and process their products. So our toll processing line will see a lot more activity during those different seasons. And with our business as it's been growing, we're able to take a larger stance on importing and purchasing more product and getting sharper pricing. That's where the relationship between me and Donnie really come in very handy. So, sometimes we're able to look at combining volume, complementing volume. It's great to have, Smirks as a good partner and figure out what we're going to do in the next chia crop.
Yeah, and I would say as for this season's chia crop, we did manage to avoid a major frost damage in the major growing areas of Paraguay, which everyone still watches every year because we've got such a bad taste in our mouth from a couple of years ago. But I don't know, Tom. To me, this market feels very similar to last year for a few reasons. One being there wasn't a lot of chia left in the market prior to the arrival of new crop. Anybody who was buying stuff at the end of the crop last year was paying a premium versus where the new crop prices came out at. So shipments we have in September and October are new crop that are coming in. And I think just like last year, you'll see the processors in South America have enormous export numbers in those months again. So really, there's kind of two harvests that happen in South America, the first being in June. That one sold out pretty quick and prices started to tick up. So for the second year in a row, we've seen pricing, the best pricing happened the end of June and into the middle of July. And then it went up. And it kind of feels like that could happen again this year. So I will say that the second harvest seems to be decent, the second part of the crop. And so I think there's still plenty of chia to ship from South America. However, everyone wants to charge a premium for it. So I don't know that we'll drop back down to the prices that we saw a couple months ago. The other thing that happened last year, which time will tell if it happens again this year, is last year all the processors went to the Cial trade show in Paris in October, and the market spiked immediately. There was some activity happening during that trade show, and no one was anticipating the market to go up. Everybody kind of thought the market had a chance to soften a little bit in that time frame because all the first shipments went out, but it did the exact opposite. So it just seems that there's not a ton of chia available in the U.S. right now. I know Tom and I are talking about it as we're trying to scrape together a load every now and then. So it seems like everybody's anxious for new crop to come in, and when that new crop gets in, it may very well go right out as well. And so we could see an exact repeat of last year where the market starts to go up and it never comes back down again until we have an idea what happens with the crop next year. So
thanks, guys, for giving us the scoop on chia. It's been really good stuff here. So lastly, or maybe not lastly, I before I get into that, Tom, what's the deal with the shoes? You got to tell me about the shoes.
I watch shoes.
What kind of shoes did you import?
So we call them, we had two names. So I was a substitute teacher at the time when I came up with the first idea. And that was right after college. And it's called the soft back shoe. So instead of tying your shoes, the back of the shoe would be very soft. You'd be able to slide your foot in very easily and just keep walking. And now I'm getting ads on Instagram and Facebook on all these different brands with.
No
Right?
way.
Yeah, I get texts from my friends and say, "Hey, they're copying you."
Right?
We had a provisional patent, and we pitched it to Puma and a lot of the big brands, and they said, "Hey, we don't take outside ideas," but that would be a lot of SKUs, men, women, all those different sizes. Chia seed with Donnie is much easier.
We go from shoes to chia. Whew. Wow, I'm impressed. So, all right, lastly, I mean, it's really a two-part question. First off, Tom, where do you see the trajectory of your business headed? I mean, are we going back to shoes or where are we going? And can you imagine any ways that Onset might totally pivot or evolve or somehow evolve to meet new market demands or changing trends in this industry?
I see the biggest growth for Onset in the coming years is really adding more value to our customers. So are they, when it comes to cassava flour, do they need a low lead product? Are the Prop 65 requirements making certain products harder to find? how we can take every ingredient and deliver the best product to the customer at a fair price. So really diving into keeping the quality as high as we have today, meeting the new regulations, and um, what's the next trend? What can we take from a chia seed and what can we make? We can make protein, but um, what other options are there? So we're working with a lot of R&D teams to take the seeds that we import now and looking at other products we can build and relying on our customers' R&D teams for feedback. Um, and lastly, I would say maybe owning a little bit more of the supply chain. Maybe if we didn't have to be as rely on as many suppliers as we do now. Maybe Smirks and Onset can buy a farm. Maybe we can grow our own sunflowers. It's always looking at the next steps, and that's one thing that Donnie and I do very well. You know, if it makes sense, we'll do it, and if there's enough demand, we'll be there.
Tom, it's been awesome having you on the podcast. And first off, I just got to say this. The two of you are like brothers from another mother. I mean, let's face it, in looks and personality.
I would, Donnie, I would say we're almost identical twins over here. You're on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast, and we cover everything in between.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree. I couldn't agree more, I guess. So I even grew my beard a little bit just to try to look like you today. So
I shaved it extra just for you.
Very good. Well, I mean, we truly can't say enough about the strong partnership we've had over the years. And thanks for taking the time to share some in-depth good stuff about your company. It was really fascinating. I mean, what an amazing entrepreneur you are. And you just showed us some great industry insights and tidbits about your experience, which we really, really appreciate. And we truly want our listeners out there to know that your website, onsetworldwide.com, is a great resource. I hope everybody will check out onsetworldwide.com because you can really learn a whole lot about Onset's products, their value-added services, and you can easily reach out to Tom and his team. So thanks again so much, Tom. It's been amazing. Appreciate your time and hope to see you again soon. Donnie?
yeah, Tom, we love working with you guys. And again, I would encourage all of our listeners to check out Tom's company, especially as innovative as they are and all the ingredients they can do. It's really a cool company and it's got a great story behind it. And they're just great people. I often wonder, though, if you consider changing the name to Prestige Worldwide.
I think so. Between you and Jason, we got 2 votes in that direction. So
Yes.
I'll bring it to Sarah and see what we can come up with.
Awesome. Thanks again, Tom.
I appreciate Smirk so much, and I really contribute a lot of our growth to our partnership. So here's to Smirks. I appreciate it.
All right. So that wraps up another episode of the Get the Scoop with Smirks podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions about anything you heard in this podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at whatsnew@smirks.com. And next up, we'll have our product feature segment. Thanks, everyone.